Pan's Labyrinth, a visually brilliant film that has gotten Guillermo del Toro critical acclaim, 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 98% on Metacritic. A film that many regard as breathtaking, brilliant. I, on the other hand, find it narratively confusing and incoherent. Welcome to Hand of Lightning Productions. This is Aspect View. My name is Seahawk, and I'm going to explain why. To start off with, the visuals, as mentioned before, are great. The way Del Toro filmed this is on another level of brilliance. The seamless transitions between reality and fantasy were amazing. The giant frog in the tree scene never felt out of place in terms of setting and tone compared to the rest of the movie. Del Toro truly makes the fantasy setting of the underworld and the real world seem like two halves of the same coin. This, however, is a double-edged sword. The fantasy world, or at least what is shown, is too similar to the reality of the real world and doesn't convey the wonder that Ophelia, played by Ivana Bakuro, wants to escape to. There isn't enough of a contrast between the real world and the fantasy world to make one more appealing than the other.
Hola, soy la princesa Moana y no te tengo miedo. ¿No te da vergüenza?
To give an example, in the 2009 film Coraline by Henry Selick, there is a clear contrasting of both emotion and tone between the real world and parallel or fantasy world. The parallel world gives examples as to why someone will want to stay there, why Coraline will want to live there, than live back in the real world.
Our garden, Coraline. Daughter in distress.
However, it leaves sinister undertones of the parallel world at bay until it has brought the audience into a false sense of security, unlike in Pan's Labyrinth.
What's that?
Well, it's a surprise.
For you, our little doll. Black is traditional. But if you'd prefer pink, or vermilion, or chartreuse. Though you might make me jealous.
For another example of this, let's look at the scene wherein Ophelia meets the fawn. That scene is the starting off point for essentially the plot of the movie. This is where she gets her mission, her task, as it were, to become Princess Moana again. And this scene, there's nothing magical about this scene, in the fact that the fawn looks sinister. He looks creepy. From the moment I saw him in the film, I thought he was secretly a villain. He was going to be the actual antagonist of this whole story, because nothing about him screamed warmth or quote unquote magical in a more positive sense.
Soy un fauno, vuestro más humilde súbdito, Alteza.
No,
Vos sois la princesa Moana, hija del rey de Bezmorra, el reino subterráneo.
mi padre era sastre.
No sois hija de hombre. La luna os engendró. En vuestro hombro izquierdo encontraréis una marca que lo confirma. Por todo el mundo, vuestro verdadero padre hizo abrir portales que permitieran vuestro regreso. Este es el último de ellos. Pero debemos asegurar de que vuestra esencia no se ha perdido. Que no os habéis vuelto una mortal. Habréis de pasar 3 pruebas antes de la luna llena. Este es el libro de las encrucijadas. Cuando estéis sola, abridlo. Él os mostrará vuestro futuro. Os mostrará qué hacer.
Comparatively to Mr. Tumnus in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where you see him bring our main character to his house. There is a fireplace. There's bright colors, lovely carpet. He makes her a drink. There's a sense of warmth that you can trust Mr. Tumnus, that he isn't going to harm our main character, our protagonist, in any way, shape, or form. Now, we know that not to be true because, he planned, it was all a trap, but that's a clear difference in between what I believe needs to be done in a story like this. You have to show us something good, something that we would want our main characters to want to be a part of, to want to stay in. Then contrast it with the bad if the goal is for them not to stay there or not wish to be there anymore.
But you would have loved Narnia in summer. We fawns dance with the dryads all night And you know, we never got tired. And music, oh, such music. Would you like to hear some now?
Oh, yes, please.
Now, are you familiar with any Narnian lullabies?
Sorry, no.
Well, that's good. Because this probably won't sound anything like one.
Secondly, Del Toro has, after I've done some research on this film, he has equated this film to that of parables and moral stories like most fairy tales. The lesson to be learned in this film, if it exists, seems to be lost amongst the visuals and effects. There is a lesson that could be extracted from this. That is the lesson of not letting your imagination run wild. There are consequences for your actions or self sacrifice, but the film does not go far enough to emphasize this or any lesson, really. There are no connective elements between what is going on in the real world and the fantasy world except that Ophelia is experiencing them as they happen. Nothing happens in this film that sets up a true lesson to be learned by Ophelia in the end due to the contrasting rules being portrayed. Magic, quote unquote, seems to exist and not exist, and the ambiguity of the ending does not help when it comes to a story of this nature. It just creates further questions that need to be answered, not in a I want to learn more aspect, but a you have not provided enough information aspect. Thirdly, the setting of a war between an army led by a cruel captain and a ragtag group of guerrilla fighters seems both necessary and unnecessary all at the same time. Necessary only in the sense that there needs to be something of an external reason outside the norm for the external conflict, being Captain Vidal, to have something to do. It is unnecessary due to the fact that this war has nothing to do with Del Toro's attempt to establish reality versus fantasy. Two times in this film, Ophelia is scolded for her affliction and affiliation with fairy tales. Once calmly by her mother at the beginning, then more sternly by Captain Vidal and her mother towards the end. If this was the message that Del Toro was trying to convey with this film, he was doing such a visionary narrative that it comes off as non-existent and therefore pompous. In conclusion, for the visually stunning film that Pan's Labyrinth is, it lacks the fundamental storytelling beats needed to keep this film cohesive and concise. As breathtaking as the film looks, its lack of connectivity between the reality and fantasy and the why this connection is needed to be seen makes this film lack in multiple areas. It appears that this film is more about visuals than substance, and that is a true shame. For the substance that is seen presently, even slightly, or can only even be guessed on, is something truly worth watching. Thank you so much for watching this video on Pan's Labyrinth. This has been something that I've been trying to do for a little over a year now. It's mainly just been trying to make this video. Period. But again, thank you for taking the time out to watch this, especially watch it in full. I plan on doing a few more of these in the coming weeks and months. I got a lot of different things I want to talk about, and I think it's just I just feel like putting my perspective out there on certain things, and who knows, maybe any of you watching might see things differently, or even if not, I would love to start a conversation about it in the comments. Give me anything you think, especially anything you think I need to work on when it comes to these videos. Again, this is my first time doing something like this. But yeah, this has been Aspect View. My name is Seahawk. I'm about to end you with a clip of things that I'm going to be trying to do, some things I've already worked on that I'm going to be uploading, and some other video ideas. And one that I'll be trying to work on very soon. If you like the video, leave a like. Think about subscribing. And again, love to have a conversation with you guys down below. Thanks.
Shall we begin? Let's begin.